Yeah! I'm throwing that brush out immediately. I'm sorry, Wayne Goss, you served your purpose. Goodbye. And that's how a brush dies. What is up, y'all? Welcome back. Today's a very exciting trying new makeup because I have in my hot little hand the new cream foundation and finishing powder duo from Patrick Ta. Not a first impression. Look at it, it's all dipped into and whatnot. I got this in the shade Fair too. Obviously it's not the only thing I'm going to be applying today, but a complexion product is always something that excites me, especially to share for the first time on camera, because it really sets the tone for the entire look, the coverage level, the vibe, you know? I also have this, which I've not combined these two things yet on one face of makeup, so we'll see how that goes. But this is the new Fenty Beauty Eaze Drop'Lit. It's an all-over glow enhancer, and it's a primer or a highlighter or whatever, but it's really juicy on the skin. It reminds me a little bit of the Pat McGrath one, and I had not noticed really, or given maybe the proper attention to the like intentionality of this crystal shape that the package is in for the Eaze Drop until I saw it in this kind of rose platinum and an iridescent product on the inside, because suddenly you notice that it's, what's the word I'm looking for? Faceted. Faceted. So yeah, gonna be putting that on underneath the foundation. I also have makeup I've been avoiding. A Merit lipstick. I caved in and I bought one because all my friends did it. Khaki, if all your friends jumped off of a bridge, would you jump off that bridge? I would, because I trust my friends, okay? And I have a lot of thoughts on this. We'll get into it, but this is a very berry sort of color. You can see I have a concept going. I still am not sure that I'm going to surmount this color by this makeup look. It's just it's a lot of lip. That is the challenge today. I'll have some thoughts for y'all at the end. Let's go ahead and jump in. Oh my darlings, oh my darlings, oh my darlings on my channel. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Alrighty, so I should have asked for some questions. Filming a garoma. Ask me anything. Okay, put that out into the world. Let's go ahead and start on this here Fenty Eaze Drop'Lit. Get it? Eaze Drop'Lit, but like droplet? I get it. I got this in the shade Pink Pearl 01. She's $34 as opposed to the $32 of the Eaze Drop Blurring Skin Tint. And there are 4 shades, this being the lightest. No smell, really thin, like super thin, not like the Auric Glow Lust or what else? Charlotte Tilbury. What's that stuff called? Hollywood Flawless Filter. Even that one is still thinner than like the Auric. And this is still even thinner than that. Again, reminds me quite a bit of the Pat McGrath one. And I like that because it's thin. It's not going to change the, or at least I hope that it's not going to change the like consistency of the foundation as much. It's just going to add a little lit from within primer vibe. But I wore this on its own last night because I do that after I get done with my shower and I'm like cooking while I wait for things to boil or cook or whatever. If I have a minute, I'll like duck into my guest bathroom and put on whatever I've been curious about just to see. I'm like always excited about the makeup. I know that it's kind of a trope at this point, but I'm like a total nerd about it. And I just ended up wearing this by itself all evening and it stays a little bit dewy tacky. And it adds a really nice kind of occlusive barrier to your skin, which is shocking for how thinly it applies. But it's got a nice serum kind of thing that it leaves on your skin that's not greasy at all. Serum is the word, but it's not movable. It's like that. It's like my fingers kind of have a little bit of a grip. It's quite nice. All right. We're not gonna get into questions yet because I'm not sure anybody's asked me any yet. Should I turn the light up? I think catching a little bit more detail is better. Last video, I was pretty blown out, so I'm gonna leave it low. It's pouring outside. My child slept in until 9 a.m. today because the sun never came up. It's his first day back at daycare. Like, he did one day last week and then everybody was off for 4 days for Labor Day. He's actually back today, but we were just sitting there like everything ready and he's just snoozing away. I mean, he woke up in a great mood. I'm gonna be applying with the Beauty Pie Seamless Foundation Buffing Brush. Again, I got the shade Fair 2. Thought it was gonna be too peach at first, but it's actually a really great match. This is Patrick Ta's first real complexion product. There's no shampoo or conditioner. Just gonna take a minute and absorb the fact that I thought that was a thing I could say on autopilot. There's no concealer, there's no foundation. I'm not even sure if does he have like a primer or anything? So you can get it really thin on the skin. You can, but I don't feel necessarily like that's what it wants to do. She's $52 and it comes in 24 shades. And they say 24 colors really because there are different setting powders for every complexion shade. It is supposed to be lighter, obviously, but he does say, at least on his Instagram and stuff, that if you want a brightened under eye to not use this powder, but that's fine with me because A, it's already pretty light, and B, I don't really like a super bright under eye. I feel like it's hard to correct for. It like draws attention underneath my eyes in a way that I don't like. So we're just going to probably use this on its own. I've been using it without any concealer because it's just a really nice match, but it's more satin than I was expecting. And do you see why I say that like I don't necessarily want to wear it really sheer? It does seem to have that quality that turns my freckles gray. I'm not totally sure, but I think it's also, it has a lot to do with the actual finish of it because a lot of times when something has like a medium coverage, but it's a little too matte of a finish, that's what tends to obscure it. It's more just like a mineral, like a suspended powder that's in the formula, more so than the undertone itself. So I have been wearing this pretty full beat for me, you know. We're not talking Estee Lauder Double Wear, but it really will comfortably build. Oh, by the way, and I watched Holly Beth on Instagram do a first impression of this live on her stories. She was like, well, we're just gonna, oh my God, it's so soft, it's so creamy. It really is. It's a lot creamier than you think it's going to be. And so you can really just tap a brush into it and pick up plenty of product. But like if you think that it's gonna be even as firm as the Salt New York Sneaky Bomb, it is not. It's quite creamy. But fortunately, it's easy to persuade it to move around on your skin once you have it down. So it's not like it lays down in one spot like a liquid and then you're like, oh no, what am I gonna do once it starts drying down? It does transform on the skin because it's going from a cream to very much like almost like a hybrid powder texture, but it's hard to compare to anything. It doesn't feel like a concealer that you would think of as being really, really creamy. It doesn't feel like a foundation that you pump out of a bottle, but it also doesn't feel like some of the balm foundations that I have used in the past. I mean, obviously it's not a balm, but Sneaky Balm or even the Westman Atelier stick, it doesn't feel like that. It's slipperier than that, but it's a hybrid texture. So like, I don't even have it all on yet, but it's not dewy. The finish is not dewy, it's satin, which is really surprising to me for Patrick Ta because he really loves that like super juicy skin, but at the same time, this is definitely a finish that's gonna photograph better. Because juicy skin, it has to be a strategic thing that you do on camera. You have to like make select parts of your face look juicy and then powder other ones. Otherwise you, like the lights just do you no favors in that respect. Dewy phases of makeup, because like that's why, and we always say this, but in the early days of YouTube, a lot of the stuff that people were buying by recommendation from YouTubers, they're like, why does this look so crazy on me? It's like because on camera makeup, things that look absolutely flawless on camera sometimes look really wild in person. And so I feel like obviously like the makeup industry has had to evolve, and the challenge now is to make things that do sell on camera, because a lot of times it is, you know, people like me or even like, you know, professional makeup artists or whatever, and even if not, you still want to look good in pictures at an event or something, but also something that doesn't look totally freaky in real life, you know? And I think that that also means that there have to be exquisite shade ranges. Like, the shade matches have to be so dialed in, because that's one of the main issues I feel like of anything like really full coverage, is that it has to be dialed into perfection on the shade match, or you will look like a Kardashian who tried out a new makeup artist that day, you know? I'm just like, you know, close enough. It's like, no, full coverage, there's no such thing as close enough. Not in my opinion, at least. That's something that I've noticed, and this is definitely all TL shade, and I'm kind of like, I apologize in advance, but if there's anything that I have noticed about Charlotte Tilbury's line as I am interviewing so many of her products lately, is that she just really doesn't seem to care very much about color theory. She's just like, well, if you don't like pink, can I introduce you to my friend Brown? Oh, you don't like brown? I have an idea, what about pink? Like, you buy any of her like bronzers or contours, she's like, it's a bronzer. It's a bronzer. You know, you're like, well, but what if I wanted a bronzer and a contour? She's like, it's a bronzer. It's brown. There's no gray. There's no rich brown. It's all just kind of this in-between shade of just like, put it kind of here-ish. You know, like, I don't know. I find that, like, if you want the Charlotte Tilbury look, it'll give you the Charlotte Tilbury look, but if you want to do anything other than the Charlotte Tilbury look, good luck. Okay, here I am talking about how, you know, interesting and cool and unique I think this stuff is, but it's a little heavy. Like, it's a little bit makeup-y. Y'all, is it giving CoverGirl? And I don't feel like it lends itself both in formula, like the texture of the formula, and also like the way that the coverage looks on me. Like, if I wanted to share it out, it doesn't lend itself to a dab here, a dab there, low makeup, Salt New York Sneaky Bomb. It doesn't do that. It doesn't disappear into the skin, not on me. Now, Holly, when she was doing it, maybe she had a better shade match than I did. Hers seemed to really like blend in, and she had also just done her skin prep. That reminds me, I forgot to put sunscreen on today. Oops. But yeah, it's still the way that I end up putting it on, the way that I feel like it kind of wants me to put it on, it ends up a little cakey, and that doesn't really cooperate super well with powder, you know, because it's kind of wet. It's just a little bit wet for my taste. But I don't find it unexciting. I have said this before, I'll say it again. Patrick Ta makes me think differently about how to do my makeup, and so I'm keeping my mind open. Okay, so I'm going in with some of the powder here, and you can see it really lightens stuff up. It is a brightening powder for sure. And I'm really dipping in there. I'm getting rid of that Patrick Ta PT embossing pretty quickly, aren't I? And I will do, when I do a final review on this, which will show end of the day, like wear test results and things like that. This brush is dying. This is the old Wayne Goss 02 brush, and it's just shedding so many bristles on my face. But when I do a final thoughts on this particular foundation powder combo, we'll do a full face of Patrick Ta to go with it. Because I really do have like everything that goes on my face. It's just one of those brands that I was aware of before it came out, because I've always been a fan of his makeup style. And so I really, like, as things came out, I never had to make any like enormous purchases. I just bought them as they came out. I don't have like any of his body things, but that's fine, you know? And at one point their PR team reached out and sent a bunch of blushes, but that's really it as far as like things I've gotten for free from them. So the brightening powder is very lovely. It really transforms the look, does it not? Like, all I have on is those two products, no concealer, no nothing. And I'm gonna just leave it like that for now. I have this thing that like refuses to die right here, but I'm not going to like ruin my day about it, you know? I do also have like areas of discoloration like this that when I get done, I can open that compact back up, and it's so high coverage when you want it to be that if I take like a little brush and just dibby dab that on top, or my finger or something, girl, it disappears. It's gone. It's cool. Like, it's really cool. Now you don't want to do that too much because it'll get cakey and gummy, but for pinpoint concealing at the end, it's great stuff. So I am also enjoying the way that it went on top of the Fenty. I feel like it helped quite a bit just because the texture, like I said, the finish on this, I'm gonna look and see what the finish claim is. It feels like when they want to sell something like this to people now in a time where social media thinks that we want everything to be really like, you know, dolphin skin. They just use the word natural as the finish. They're like, it's a natural finish. Like that's their kind of catch-all. And it says natural finish. Yep, exactly. That's their catch-all. Even though that does not look like my skin. It's much more matte than my actual skin, but they call it a natural finish because it sells the garment. Let's answer a question. While I do like a really nice chill, like very chill cheek look, because I'm gonna try and let the lips stand out and not look like a clown at the end of it with like splotches of color where all of my facial features are. I love that y'all seem to know me because it's like stuff that I don't even necessarily talk about all the time, but you still know to ask about it. So this question says, fashion you're excited to wear for fall. As you can see, I'm in the mood. I'm in the fall mood. I'm actually going to go in with some of this Natasha Denona puff paint in this shade Tan, I want to say, as my kind of like very chill bronzer here. So my fall vibe, I am in this big like tomboy mode for fall where I really like, I don't love everything by the brand The Great because it's a little bit prairie for me, but they had this one model, I'll put her on the screen, in this one look, and for whatever reason, that just like set off my imagination. The color story, the kind of androgynous vibe, the interesting proportions, the loafers and everything, I was like, oh, that really resonates with me in a way that even though I have a lot of those things in my wardrobe, I've never thought to combine them that way. And I think that the main thing, my mantra for fall and winter, because I did invest so much last year as I had just moved to the Northeast, I was like, time to really look at how is this putting bristles on my face? Like that's how bad it is. My main objective is I want to wear everything that I have. Like that's my challenge. Even the things that I didn't end up wearing as much when I bought them. Like I fully intend to like embrace the me that I have seen myself as through every one of these purchasing decisions. That's like my big goal. But I did make a few purchases over Labor Day weekend because the sales were everywhere I wanted to be like a Visa card, okay? First of all, it wasn't on sale, but I bought the long bomber coat from The Great, like from that actual look on that model, because I had just been thinking about it for so long and I had bought a bunch of stuff that didn't end up working out. And so I had just returned it. And so I had like that amount of money set aside already for, you know, something that I wanted to purchase fashion wise. And I was like, you know what, I think I bought it from Saks. So, you know, easy returns if I needed to. I'm just gonna try it on. And it is just knock it out of the park. It's way better, nicer in person than I expected it to be. And I know I'm going to wear the heck out of it. It's just ultimate layering piece, but it's so well made and it's actually really warm. And I know from having a shacket of that heavyweight wool this whole like last winter that it's amazing at keeping the wind out. So love that. Love that, really excited about that, really excited for it to cool off so I can wear it because it's like so exquisite, but it's casual. Like that's the thing that I'm doing with my wardrobe this fall is I have all this fancy stuff and I love being fancy on camera, but off camera, I have become someone who loves athleisure, but I don't want that, no offense, but you guys know, I'm a soft autumn, and so I don't wear black very well. And that seems to be the thing that you always see if you go on Pinterest and you're like, I wanna see like cool athleisure outfits. By the way, I'm using the Anastasia Latte Stick Blush because again, it's like really nude for me. And I want something that's like, it's a pretty blush, but I just don't want it to be the focal point. Anyway, you always see these athleisure outfits that really center around every piece being black. And I get it, because if you can wear black, it's really nice to have a wardrobe that mixes and matches just infinitely, you know? You can pull something out and it works. And especially with athletic stuff, it doesn't tend to fade because it's basically made out of microplastic. But first of all, I'm not super drawn to that look. It's like, I like the way that it looks, the way that I like a minimalist interior, but that doesn't mean I want to be surrounded by that because I don't really know how to function in it. It makes me feel restricted, like too restricted. And then the other thing is, like, I feel such strong urges when I see things that are very colorful that's really hard for me to ignore. Like if something just draws me in, I'm like, wow, that's so new, that's so fresh, and I know that I can pull that off kind of thing. You know, that's what gets me excited about fashion. So I am left with, once again, only my own paradigm to kind of function with, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'm my own muse again, because there's just not a lot of colorful athleisure inspo out there, like silhouette-wise. Kind of scraping my makeup off. Oh my God, there are bristles everywhere. I'm throwing that brush out immediately. I'm sorry, Wayne Goss, you served your purpose. Goodbye. And that's how a brush dies. So that, and like, if you guys have been with me since last Labor Day, I wanna say, or the Nordstrom sale, or I think it was the Nordstrom sale last year, I was swooning over these boots from Ganni for the longest time. And they were like 400 bucks. And I was like, I get it, you're paying for the name because Ganni's having itself an Emma Chamberlain moment, but like, still, you know, I want a good discount. I think I got them for 100 bucks, like middle of summer. Ganni, the actual Ganni website was having a sale, and I was like, so whoop, you know what I mean? Like it was just like an instant decision, and now I gravitate towards so many outfits that focus on slightly like cropped pants, that a lot of them have like rough hems and stuff, over those kinds of, you know, very androgynous kind of like punk Chelsea boots, but also they're very like functional. And that's what I'm going towards. And I think that's gonna go really well with my bomber. I have tons of layering stuff. And I like the idea of a hoodie with the bomber. Also, I've been way into cropped stuff lately. I'm very, very long-waisted, like very long-waisted. And so it took me a long time to feel comfortable, especially because I'm a child of the, you know, the 2000s. I mean, I'm not, I was born in 87, but like I came of age in like the early 2000s where the waistbands were so low that like I was never ever comfortable with showing like a Britney Spears amount of my torso. I was just like, holy moly. But now that everything is so high-waisted, they're really growing on me. And so I'm loving like cropped hoodies, I got these cropped t-shirts from Frankie's shop, and just the way that they layer. Check. Hi. My camera died and I actually didn't have a battery charged, and so it's been about an hour. It gave me a chance to drink a smoothie and order some Gucci blushes. I think that was a good use of my time. So it also gave this makeup a chance to, I don't know, live its life. I'm already having some feelings about Mr. Patrick Ta on this. Oh, by the way, I should finish that thought. I'm into crop tops right now. They're my speed at the moment, with high-waisted things being what they are and layering and everything. Hoodies, t-shirts, rugby tops, you name it, give me a crop top. Anyway, yes, so two things here. One, I don't love the actual, like when I touch it, I don't like the feeling of it because it does feel molten, but the other end of that spectrum is it's unbelievably pretty. Oh, it's gotten a little brighter outside. Hang on. As I've worn it before, I want to say that it's always kind of felt like that. I don't think it's the Fenty primer. Nonetheless, it looks nice. We'll just keep on keeping on. It's faux. But, you know, for my eyes, I pulled this. I don't really know why, but I just feel like I haven't really given enough airtime to all of the makeup that Kaleidos sent me. So this is the Escape Pod. And the inside is actually a lot more today's vibe than the outside. So yeah, let's pull some more questions since I've given it plenty of time for them to accumulate, and we will answer them while I don't know, fiddle around with something on my eyes here. I'm gonna try and keep it tame. Thoughts on the Don't Worry Darling cast drama? A video of Harry Styles spitting on Chris Pine has me surprised face and laughing face. I don't really know what the actual on-set drama was like. I just saw a tweet basically talking about how Chris Pine, probably with all of his training and all of his feminist books to read off camera and things like that, arrived on set and the whole cast hated each other. Like that was the first thing apparently that was made public, and I don't really pay attention to these things that much. So that's all, you know, just kind of hearsay news to me. Nonetheless, I should preface this by saying that Chris Pine is zaddy. Okay, like he's everything. I've been watching Mike's Mike pretty much through the whole like time I was eating my lunch, so if I just start speed talking and speaking only in memes, understand that that's why. He was like the only friend I've had a conversation with today. So anyway, he is like the most iconic blouse wearing 2022 Brad Pitt there is. And I don't know, I only say that because he's conventionally handsome. 42, man, that's a great age. He's like graying, and like Carrie showed me him wearing caftans, just living his best like coastal European life. He is everything, and I'm always going to side with him is my point. And Harry Styles has shown himself basically through Harry's house and I don't know, his interview with Apple and a bunch of other stuff that he's been doing since the pandemic, that I just had to say, I was like, I'm not sure we're actually dealing with an incredibly intelligent person here. Okay? And we all kind of got this idea that maybe he could act because he's been in some stuff and he's in Dunkirk. But then we all, maybe, I didn't, conveniently forgot that he didn't have lines in Dunkirk, maybe like one or two, but that, you know, he carried that entire role with facial expressions. And so apparently his acting is not like A+ in the previews people are seeing from Don't Worry Darling. And, you know, it's where he and Olivia Wilde really like fell in love, and it's very hyped for a lot of different reasons. It's also kind of a horror movie, I think. And so I'm interested in seeing it regardless, especially if Chris Pine's in it. But what made all of this reemerge recently, or actually literally yesterday, was this video from the press junket that they were doing during the premiere in Venice, where it's, I don't know who all was on stage, but it looks like it's only Harry Styles and Chris Pine being interviewed, and Chris Pine is sitting back, like lounged back in his chair while Harry answers a question. And I will just I'll read what Harry says. I can't do his accent. I go Australian, but I'll try. You know, my favorite thing about the movie is like, it feels like a movie. It feels like a real, like, you know, go to the theater film movie. You watch Chris Pine, he's on another planet. He's just, why am I here? Who is this dipwad with all this unearned confidence? You felt for him. Then there's this clip of them all arriving, and for whatever reason it's Olivia and Chris sitting next to each other, having left open the seat for Harry, so I'm assuming that that's what it was about, but Harry thought it was appropriate for him to then, on his way to sitting down, spit on Chris Pine. I'm sorry. Electric chair. No. Spitting is disgusting. I can't stand spit. And then watching that happen, I was just like, no. But the main thing is everyone really wants to know, like, why? Literally just why. What was the joke? Is there a joke? Is there a joke that could possibly be good enough to justify spitting on somebody? And like, regardless, Chris handles it with such grace. Like, oh, this little schmuck just spit on me, you know? Either way. Chris Pine is an absolute specimen who is only getting better with age. And like the more I learned about Harry Styles, the less impressed with him I am. Movie. All right, so I'm gonna go pretty boring here on my eyes until I get the lip on, and then I might be a little bit more inclined to try something challenging. But yeah, that's really all that I can say about the Harry Styles thing, because that's all the context that I have, but it is hilarious. And I am never tuned into celebrity drama, but you know, this contained one of my loves, Chris Pine. So if you weren't doing gestures around this, what would you want to do for a living? So this question came in before I had to take a little break, and I have had an opportunity to think about it, and I will have you know, I still don't have a good answer for you. Because I am a horrible employee. Horrible employee. Like, I would probably have to completely like reconnect with myself in order to find some kind of like business ownership that I would want to have, because I cannot function under a boss, especially a male boss, but I have also had tyrannical, narcissistic female bosses. And it just seems to be an epidemic in the corporate world that the way to rise up is to just be soulless and work yourself until you're just white knuckling it through the rest of your life. And like, I have a child now. Not to say that like you have to have a child in order to have the kind of perspective to, you know, exercise some kind of self-preservation. But for me, it took it from a place of it being self-care to have time for myself to it being completely non-negotiable to have time to myself, because that time to myself, that, you know, not working is all I mean, is time that I'm spending with my kid. And like, there's certain stuff that it's just not negotiable, you know? Cooking dinner, being here if he's, you know, having him home with me if he's sick, or being able to spend my evenings with him and things like that. Like, I don't know. I think I would still have to do something extremely flexible, even if it was just going back to doing hair, or I don't know. I would have to be in some kind of position of owning my schedule. That's the main thing. And I'm just really glad that I've built this. I think probably I would like lean really hard into my art, but at the same time, I really feel like my art has grown and benefited greatly because I already had an audience and a community built. I would have had to build that one way or another regardless. I do not know. I'd like to think I would have gotten out of the marketing biz eventually, even if it weren't with this. So needless to say, I'm extremely grateful for what I do. This is just the ideal job for me. And that's why even though in the very beginning I tried to quit many times, I was like, this is an expensive hobby, Khaki, you know, I was never able to completely stop because I knew it was what I wanted. Ooh, adding that dark brown made all the difference in the world, did it not? See, I just get so excited. See, that's beautiful. I could really have just this shimmery one and then the browns and this. The formula is great, it is. It's just, I don't get that excited about, well, I guess I do get excited about bright colors, but not when I'm already wearing so many bright colors. Oh boy. Okay, I'm gonna do my brows and my eyeliner and my mascara, and then we're gonna do this lip. And I'll probably answer like one more, maybe. My eyes look huge. This is awesome. Okay, so this Merit Signature lipstick, all of my friends love it, okay? I have seen so many, not just positive reviews, but glowing. My socks, they're not just off, they're somewhere in another time zone, you know, kind of reviews. And Merit has always been okay as far as I'm concerned in terms of the functionality of their formulas. Fine. They did a few things early on that did not particularly impress me, just from the standpoint of influencer relations and whatnot, but I bought this with my money, so they have no rights to my content, and I picked the color Fashion. This guy is $26, I want to say. $26, and it comes in 8 shades. I got Fashion. It's just something different. It's described as a soft berry. Even the, I don't know, the like neutral looking, you know, nude looking shades to me all looked incredibly warm. Usually I would want a neutral nude that kind of leans a little bit like desaturated almost towards gray, kind of like Lorna Doone from Gucci, or something with just a little bit more mauve in it, and none of them is like that. So I just figured I'd go for a berry shade and see what I thought. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply it, and then we'll talk about it. This is my song so you don't have to listen to my mouth noises as I struggle to put this on. This is my song. I got this idea from Naomi John. This is my lip mouth noises while I put my lipstick on song. That looks terrible. And not the color, I don't mind the color. It's a little bit pink on me because everything's a little bit pink on me. But if it was a formula I liked, the color wouldn't bother me at all. The thesis statement is, I do not understand the appeal. I don't like to sit here and be like over the top and talk in hyperbole, because a lot of people kind of don't, if they're coming to my videos for the first time, they don't necessarily recognize that that's my personality and that's like my way of talking, and they'll be like, wow, that was really over the top. I don't think it was that big of a deal, kind of thing. And so I'm going to try and stay very empirical here. We're going to, oh, it's that time of the day. It's get rid of the headband time. I'm gonna be very empirical here. First of all, the thing that I keep hearing about is the formula. In fact, I wanna read the claims on the formula because everybody says it's so different. Okay, what it is: a sheer lipstick with a satin finish and the benefits of a lip balm without the heaviness of a traditional lipstick. I admire someone wanting to make a comfortable lipstick, but none of those claims is particularly like new or groundbreaking. I mean, that's just kind of describing a comfortable sheer lipstick. It's got squalane, sunflower seed oil, papaya fruit, and raspberry oil. Long-lasting, moisture, soothing, moisturizing, and adds a soft aroma. Is the raspberry oil. Signature lip isn't a tinted lip balm or a traditional lipstick. It's a hydrating, buildable formula of sheer satin color that feels so lightweight you'll forget you're wearing it. Use 1 swipe for a sheer finish or 3 swipes for rich color. So here's the thing, and I know that it's the thing that's going to be in my comments from people who do passionately love this formula, which I know that there are going to be many. They're going to tell me you wore it wrong. No matter how I put it on, they're gonna tell me I wore it wrong. They're gonna tell me that I didn't build it up enough, that I should have used a lip liner, or that I didn't blot it enough and I shouldn't use a lip liner. There's going to be opinions across the board. Bottom line, this is a formula that some people absolutely love. This is a type of formula that lots of people absolutely love, but look at how inconsistent it is. That's not a look that looks good on me. Some people, like, oh, somebody did a really good job of describing it one time about how like my features don't lend themselves to blurry things very well. And that's just the case with this. And I've seen Hannah wear this kind of built up, and I thought that it looked fantastic on her, and she managed to make it look like it was really easy to control and that the consistency of the pigment was very consistent, but that's just not my experience. I am aware of it, I don't forget that I'm wearing it, and it wears off in a really like unpleasant way. And blotted, look at it in like the cracks on my lips. That's not a healthy looking lip vibe like I would typically go for. And this is such a pet peeve of mine, but I absolutely detest this shape for a bullet. It looks normal, right? Except it's that weird paddle shape. So it's like, you can't just use it like a normal bullet lipstick. This is a Thrive lipstick. This is the shade Eileen, one of my favorites. And you just see, normally you would use the point on the bullet to get into your Cupid's bow and around the corners. But the fact that this one is round on the profile, or like oval instead of being pointed, but this top part is round, it's so hard to get it where I want it without getting it where I don't want it, you know? So let's try their 3 swipes method and see what it looks like all built up. But like I already have it like up here on my Cupid's bow. I'm tempted to try it with a lip liner to see if I can get something really perfected, because now that you guys have seen like, this is what it looks like blotted, and blotted's not my vibe. Like maybe we can try something else. I pulled Rare Beauty Bold. All right, I'm gonna roll this up a little bit further so I can have a little more control and hope that it doesn't like break off. That's a little bit easier. It's like you have to be able to lay it flat on your lip. Just scared to do that. I'm always scared it's gonna break off. Wozers. Okay, in my mother's words, here comes Kaki's lips. But that's a little bit better with the lip liner and applied, you know, very, very thickly. I am just not, I don't think, meant for like a completely blotted lip. Inconsistent pigment looks messy on me, so I think that's a little bit better. But still, like looking at it up close, better formulas exist. Cause like when I apply that, you know, fully, sure, but like stuff's gonna happen. I'm going to like talk, I'm going to move, I'm going to live, I'm going to eat, I'm going to drink. It's so movable. It's so wildly movable. It's like, oh, it's so lightweight. It's so, you know, it's like low, it's not low pigment. It's not sheer. I mean, you know, I have lip filler and I have fake teeth. So like most things are going to look okay on me. I don't need things to do me a lot of favors because I've gone ahead and invested all the money that I have in my mouth area. But even all that considered, like, it could be better. I wouldn't be so critical if it didn't receive the outrageously glowing reviews that it does. I don't think it's special. I think the Rare Beauty ones are way better. I think the Thrive ones are off the charts better. And those are two good, sheer, unscented, no, that's not true. The Rare Beauty are scented. Matte formulas that come in some really gorgeous, committed colors. Ugh, at the top there, let's finish the liner. I'm not typically someone to line my Cupid's bow, but it's like it needs the help. So yeah, there's that. And then blotted. It's fine. I back it up with some skills, and that means that, you know, I can make it work, but this is definitely not, I've wiped that same spot on my face like 5 times. This is not a run, do not walk situation. That's a lot of the reason that I don't watch other people's reviews before I review something, is because it will always kind of color my response, because I almost feel like I'm, instead of responding to the product, I'm responding to other people's responses to the product. This is a rare exception in the sense that, like, I wasn't planning on buying it at all. And then I finally just kind of, you know, decided, I was like, all right, I gotta know what the hype is about, because that's literally my job. Like, if I were reviewing this out of hand, like if I had never heard anybody else talk about it, my response to it would be, like I blotted it and it's really inconsistent and weird, and like other things exist and I would tell you which ones, which I already did. But the fact that it has like this just like wild following, I just have to say I don't get it. I just want to fuss it to death and then it just comes off. I will probably get use out of this just because I could probably use it as a cheek product. Oh, that's the one thing that I wanted to say. This reminds me of a lipstick version of the melting oil blushes from Rare Beauty that I always talk about how annoying they were, because Amanda compared them to a silicone primer that had been pigmented. And that's what this feels like. It moves around indefinitely like a silicone primer that's been pigmented, but just a lot more pigmented than those blushes were initially. So that's, I don't know. I mean, I know Amanda really likes these. I know Hannah really likes these. I know a lot of people really like these, but that's what I would compare them to. They're just too slippy and the pigment picks itself back up way too easily. And in the interest of making this look like I meant to, what if we put a little bit of like a berry color up there? Should we do that? This is from my beautiful Guerlain palette that I'm using all the time. I ordered this Dior palette, you guys, that's like basically 3 shades of almost indistinguishable beige and one very, very deep brown in the middle. And I'm like, are we having this like renaissance for boring palettes again? Because I am ready. I want Guerlain to put out a really boring color story that's super, super wearable, or maybe 5, you know what I mean, for like different skin tones. Have it be in like this format, because this formula is gorgeous, but I could see this color story not necessarily making sense for everyone. Tula Signature Glow. I really could take or leave their skin tint, but I am so glad that I decided to try and hit the shipping threshold by ordering that, by adding that to my order, because I'm in love with it. Okay, so starting with the Eaze Drop'Lit, is this a run, do not walk situation? Not necessarily, but it's super pretty. If you're looking for a really thin, but also hydrating and something that is going to give your skin a little bit of grip, this is so beautiful. I should swatch it so you can see just on its own. It does have some pearlescence to it, but that's it like really, really built up, obviously. Like that's just a dollop basically, because when I share it out, oh, you know what it reminds me of? The Vasco ones. That's what it reminds me of. Super, super thin, leaves such a sheer wash that I am really not sure that the color matters, other than that like this might be too light, you know? But like I think that the deep ones are probably just going to add a really pretty nice glow to any skin tone kind of thing. So I would say maybe if you're nervous between 2 of them, err on the side of a dark one. I don't know, I haven't swatched the other ones, but that would be my guess. This is so just like a really pretty sheer wash. There's no actual like color, in my opinion, or at least in my experience. So yeah, it's very, very pretty. I like it. And again, it's like, it reminds me of a lot of other things. It's not something that I've never met before, but it's a very good version of what it is. We are going to do a full face of Patrick Ta at some point, where I do soon, at some point soon, where I will give you all of my final thoughts on this and like I said, end of day wear test results and like close-ups and stuff like that. But for all of the maybe less than stellar comfort of this, because what it feels like I have a fully beat face of makeup on, foundation wise, and then I took like the Hourglass Veil setting spray and sprayed the living daylights out of my skin. Do you know what I mean? It feels like it's overly glycerined to the point that like it's super hydrated, incredibly flexible, and it's not going to like start gathering in any creases or anything like that. It feels bulletproof in the sense of being very one with my skin, but by virtue of the fact that it is so richly emollient almost, like it feels super nourishing and flexible, it feels like you're super conscious of it. Like I don't want to necessarily reach up and touch my face because I haven't powdered my whole face. I didn't want to do that because it would soak up so much powder. I could just feel that it would. It's something that I feel like if I touched it, it would like very much come off, you know? So I want to see like where glycerin is on there. Okay, so there's no glycerin in it, but it's just basically tons and tons and tons of silicones. I mean, the first thing is phenyltrimethicone, ethyl hexyl isononanate, divinyl dimethicone, phenyl cis-sesquioxane, cross polymer, polyethylene, triacetostearate, butyryl dimethicone. Do you get the picture? I mean, it is just silicones on silicones on silicones. That is why I think it's giving me this super like flexible face of makeup that even though I've now been wearing it for like going on 3 hours probably since I first put it on. I mean, it looks like I just put it on, but at the same time, I did say in the Westman Atelier video, I was like, you can't have too many silicones in a formula and it'll just kind of feel sludgy. That's how the last one that I tried from Anastasia Beverly Hills, like way back, like end of 2019, early 2020, I tried one that was the case with it, where it was so silicone-y that it almost felt like it didn't dry down, which is just so bizarre. And that's what this feels like. It's so pretty though, but you're very conscious of it. It has a feeling on the face. Very, very odd. Very odd. I'm trying to think what I would compare it to. It's like wearing kind of like a balm blush all over your face in the sense that you don't mind it necessarily, you're just aware that it's there. So yeah, if I were to compare, like that's why I didn't swatch it against something like the Westman Atelier or the Kjaer Weis or the Salt New York, because it's just not, it's not like that. It's maybe similar to the Kjaer Weis, kind of, but no. The Kjaer Weis, you still have to warm it up. It's still completely solid at room temperature, and this is barely viscous enough to stay in this pan. Like you touch it and I mean, it's the softest cream because it's like, we just learned basically just tons and tons of silicones. I think that that also helps the pigment be more consistent because when you touch it and it comes off on your finger, there is no separation. A lot of times when you are dealing with clean beauty, sometimes, especially in a balm kind of foundation, you'll rub it at first and you'll feel like initially not a lot of color comes up, and then it's like you have to almost mix it back together or like whip it into shape and like wake it up in order to get some of the pigment to like really come up and emulsify. This is like you touch your finger in it and it's entirely emulsified. It's not sweating, it's not doing anything weird, it's not separating us because it's literally like entirely synthetic. It's just like a space polymer. So anyway, yeah. Those are my thoughts on this so far. I'm gonna wear it a whole lot more and give you guys my final thoughts on it and another soon, but later than now day. And finally, as far as the new things are concerned, the Merit lipstick, I'm so sorry. I tried so hard to temper my review and to temper my attitude because I know I came into this with a chip on my shoulder. And again, it's not because of the whole like Merit scandal where basically they kind of like had this default contract that was through this affiliate platform where people started to realize that by virtue of even accepting PR from them, they were then able to use your content however they wanted to, which is a contract that you typically sign when you're doing paid for content for a brand, which is like, yeah, if I say something, if I do a paid sponsorship for your brand, maybe you pay a little extra or whatever, or you negotiate some kind of thing where like they can then use that later on their social media or something. But like for it to just be in the fine print of something just to receive PR, that was the thing with Merit that was like getting on people's nerves. But that's why like, you know, I didn't want to use the stuff that they gave me, but I'm still just like Say Beauty. Like their initial thing really disappointed me. Their whole initial release really disappointed me, but I still like try their stuff because I don't want to be that person who just like, I'm holding a grudge against them or something. It's like, no, not necessarily. I just want to review the things that people are interested in. And I just wanted to have my say on this. And my say is that that's a beautiful color. It's an okay lipstick formula. If I were reviewing it completely no context, I would say it's not that big of a deal. It's a little difficult to use. And within the context of everybody loving it, I would say that the packaging is very alluring. It's very pretty. It's very heavy, which is really weird because the new bronzer feels really cheap. Other than that, I probably wouldn't recommend buying it. It's just not, it's pretty unspecial to me. But I don't want to leave this off on a bad note. I actually am really enjoying the face of makeup that I managed to get today. I think it's quite pretty. I think with the lip liner and the lipstick built up quite a lot, it wears in a way, it looks a way that I would typically wear a lipstick. I'm not sure that this is exactly how it was intended to be worn, but I made it work. And I can say I gave it a God's honest try. I hope y'all enjoyed this. And if you did, please do give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to keep hanging out with me on this channel, hit the button down below and subscribe. I would love it if you did. Thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I love y'all so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.